All right. Hello, my darlings. It's Michaela. So we are going to talk about food, glorious food today. We're going to talk about what we believe we need to eat in order to get what we want. So often when people think that what they need to do in order to lose fat and to be fit is that they have to adopt a lifestyle of an eating habit of eating high protein and high produce. And what I want to do today is debunk that myth. So first of all, if that is how you live, if that is how you eat, and if you love it, if it works for you, if it does what you desire, stick with it, okay? I am not trying to convert any of those who are convicted, okay? So if you love it, if you live it, if it works, do it. I am speaking to individuals who perhaps feel not only that that is the way, but are doing it and not seeing results, not seeing, not only not getting what they want, but feeling deprived and feeling hungry. You should never feel hungry. If you're hungry, eat, please. Stop when you're full. That's a whole nother issue. But eat when you're hungry. Okay, so protein and produce, not the only way. And in my opinion, not the way at all. So the reason why people have steered away from carbs like they're the scourge of the earth, carbs have been stamped with the seal of the devil. They have been blacklisted because of highly processed carbohydrates. So white bread, baked goods, candy, and these are things that make your blood sugar rise quickly, and they make your insulin get pumped out and make that plummet. So we are going to talk about why that's bad, okay? So when you eat something that is, where the sugar is quite quickly absorbed by your bloodstream, and there's nothing to buffer it, like fiber or fat or an acid, like citrus juice or vinegar. These are actually things that help slow blood sugar from entering your bloodstream. When you don't have these things in place, when you have this exposed sugar basically in your donut early one morning, what it does is it makes your blood sugar spike, okay? So your body has this lovely little range that it wants your blood sugar to remain within, all right? So when you eat something that is highly refined, that has no buffering agent, your blood sugar is going to spike. Your body, in its brilliance, is going to pump out insulin that is going to make the blood sugar come down. However, it works so well that it goes actually beyond this lovely little margin that it is designed to be in, okay, that is desired to be in. So what ends up happening with that little fiasco is that low blood sugar is a reason why we eat, right? So often there can be a situation when you eat a lot of highly refined carbohydrates that you're hungry quickly because there is nothing that actually fills you up, as well as the double whammy of the insulin making your blood sugar lower than it should naturally be after you've eaten a meal. So you've actually consumed a significant amount of calories, but your blood sugar is low. So you may feel sluggish, you may have a hard time focusing, and then additionally you may be hungry. So that is what happens here. Additionally, there's something called insulin resistance. And so what that is when your body does this over and over and over again, when your diet consists mainly of highly processed carbohydrates. So we're eating sugary cereals, we're eating bagels, we're eating white bagels, we're eating Wonder Bread, we're eating baked goods, we're eating cake, we're eating Snickers bars because we're hungry in the afternoon. All these things make your body do this process over and over again. And what ends up happening is, so you develop this situation called where you're insulin resistant, and that has some pretty major health ramifications. People are familiar typically with type 2 diabetes, heart disease, additionally, weight gain, as well as your body requires more and more insulin to do the job that it was originally made to do. The one thing that's beautiful about insulin is that it ushers glucose into our muscle cells for energy. Your body wants glucose for fuel. We'll talk about that in just a second. Your body wants glucose for fuel. And so when we eat something with glucose in it, we want it to go somewhere so it can be utilized, not stored as fat. Okay? So that's what happens when we eat a highly processed carbohydrate-rich diet. So, high protein, high produce, little carbohydrates, that approach can be effective for a small amount of time in helping you to reset your insulin sensitivity. And I want to make the big disclaimer, I am not a doctor, and I don't know what your personal situation is. So if you have any inkling that may be your situation, I suggest you talk with your medical professional, the person that cares for you, and get tested, figure out if you are insulin resistant, as well as do further research in terms of how long you might need to be on a diet that could help reset that insulin sensitivity. Okay? Big disclaimer there. So, if that is something that might actually help that insulin sensitivity get reset, that is a wonderful thing, but it is only to be done for a short amount of time, okay? Because ultimately, your body wants glucose for fuel, all right? So what happens, many people adopt this way of eating because they think it's the only way, and they believe that if you eat carbohydrates, we're going to have this insulin spiking, this insulin, having its way with our blood sugar all the time, which is going to make us gain weight. But if you eat a diet that is high in fiber, high in carbohydrates, high in fiber, you will not have the same negative ramifications, okay? Always. There's so much more, right? There is so much more. That's why this stuff is confusing. Hopefully, I am going to help you with this. Hopefully, this will make sense. So, when you eat a diet that is predominantly protein and produce, what ends up happening is initially you will look shredded, okay? You will look like you are this frickin' Adonis suddenly. And why that is because your body has stored glucose in it. It's called glycogen, and for each molecule of glycogen, there are 3 molecules of water around it. So what happens when you wipe that off the table, when you turn your head away from carbohydrates for a period of time, your body wants that glucose, so it will go to your reserves. So it'll take that glucose, that stored glucose as glycogen, and it'll go through that water, those little water molecules that buffer it as well, and you will look like you've lost a significant amount of weight. However, there is no fat loss there, okay? So a lot of people adopt this diet because they think, well, it's going to be great, so we're not going to have glucose, so the body doesn't have sugar for the energy that it needs. Instead, it's going to pull from my fat reserves. And the sad fact is that is kind of true. Your body will pull from some of your fat reserves. However, it will actually more likely pull from your muscle. Your body wants to live. Your body is so brilliant. It is intent on keeping you safe and keeping you alive. And so you can sustain life for much longer when you have fat on your frame versus muscle. So muscle actually ends up becoming this easier target for fuel when you deny your body of glucose, when you deny your body of carbohydrates, okay? High fiber carbohydrates, not processed or less processed carbohydrates, okay? So what ends up happening is, so we start to deny the body of glucose, we eat protein and produce, and what ends up happening is your muscle mass decreases. Okay, so muscle, one big argument for muscle around fat loss is that it requires more calories to sustain itself. So you have a greater allowance of food by simply having a certain substance on your frame. And that's pretty cool. So that's just one argument for strength training around fat loss. But if we're denying ourselves of carbohydrates, denying ourselves of glucose, your body will start to tap into your fat reserves just, a bit, but it'll go after muscle. So what ends up happening is we're used to eating a certain amount of food pretty much every day, but when you eat in this manner, your muscle mass decreases, so your caloric need also decreases. Typically, people aren't so in tune with that. So they're, just kind of chugging along, eating the number of calories or the amount of food that they believe is appropriate and best for them, but they actually require less and less. So what ends up happening is when we eat more calories than we require, we gain weight, we gain fat. Additionally, you have put yourself into a state where your body feels like it's starving because it's not getting the fuel that it desires, the fuel that it works with best. Well, when it works with best. So, this is such a hard way to eat. Please, I hope this makes an impact, and I hope this changes everything for you. So, also what happens is your body wants this glucose, right? So after a period of time when we are denying these glorious carbohydrates, this golden glucose, your body will make you turn to something sweet, that is where the sugar is quickly accessible. And it's going to be at a moment of weakness or when you're out or your defenses are down, and you're going to reach for that bagel, you're going to reach for that donut, you're going to reach for that piece of chocolate because your body is craving it. However, your body has felt like it's starving. So as soon as you eat this glucose, it is going to latch onto that in the form of fat because it doesn't know when it's going to get it again. So this is a cycle, this is a pattern, this is a path that one is put on by adopting this way of eating. So, not awesome for fat loss, not awesome for muscle retention, not a joyful way to live, not a fun way to be in life. So, carbohydrates, high fiber carbohydrates, less processed carbohydrates are way more the way to go. Carbohydrates with a lot of fiber will feel satisfying, they're filling with less calories, and they give you energy. Okay? So I will talk very soon about some delicious options, some easy options around high fiber carbohydrates, and why a plant-based diet, in my opinion, is really the way to go for almost every reason. Fitness, fat loss, health benefits, pocketbook, planet, and why that might be something to, it's just something to entertain. So at any rate, I hope this makes sense. I hope this feels digestible and deliciously so. And if you have any questions, please be in touch, always, okay? Please be in touch. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. I hope that's useful, and I hope that stays. I hope that lasts with you. So thank you, and until next time.